Good morning and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I am Justine Reichman, your host, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming José Luis Cabañero. Welcome, Luis. José, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure for having us. Thank you for having us.
And I know it's a bit later there, so thank you so much. I know it's well into your evening where you are because you're in Spain, but
Yeah,
thank you so much. So for our
it's a
listeners,
pleasure.
José is with Eatable Adventures, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. It is a company out of Spain, and I'm excited to bring them to you, both because he has got quite a vast experience in food and working with startups. And for our listeners, this is the perfect match. It talks about changing the future of food. It talks about investing and building sustainable and regenerative businesses. And it's exciting to learn a little bit about you. So let's get right to it, José. I hate to introduce people because I never do them justice. And so I'd love for you to maybe just introduce yourself to our listeners, and then they'll get a deeper dive into who you are as we continue the conversation. But maybe just a quick little intro, if you would.
Yeah, I've been about 28 years working for the high-tech industry. My background training is as a computer science engineer, and I was in this amazing telecommunications industry for about almost 30 years. And at some point, I decided to take a shift on my career. Basically, I stumbled upon a business that I still think is marvelous. It's actually a NGO out of San Francisco called La Cocina, that is a culinary incubator. And they're doing an amazing job about helping immigrants to get into the American society by building food businesses. And I thought that this is something that could be quite interesting and appealing to do in Spain. And at that time, this was 2013. There was Spain was still coming out of the previous crisis, and there was a high unemployment rate. Young people unemployment rate was also super large, and at the same time, our chefs and all the culinary world has a big influence in the worldwide cuisine and press. So I thought it was something interesting to do, and then I told the idea to my two founding partners, Mila and Jose. Basically, we decided to launch Eatable Adventures. Initially as an incubator for the gastronomy field, but very quickly we realized that technology was coming into this market. It was coming quite strong, and it was interesting to apply the techniques that were used in the high-tech industry, for example, for developing startups into this new market. So that's how we basically start off. The concept of an ecosystem and the concept that food is something that happens among people, and there's an interchange of experiences when you eat and when you talk to other people about the food you are eating. So that took us to create a community of entrepreneurs in the food space that initially was called Gastroemprendedores in Spain. And soon we had to extend it to the English speaking world, and is now called Food Entrepreneurs. And it's a source of gathering for entrepreneurs, scientists, investors, corporations, and it's a perfect environment for making connection between startups and corporations and investors, and that is actually working quite nicely.
Wow, so that's quite a journey. And before we dig deeper into what you guys are doing at Eatable Adventures, I would just love to just talk a little bit about your experience and your journey from tech studies with business to culinary studies at Stanford.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that journey and what encouraged that shift for you? Or what?
Well, actually, Stanford has been quite fundamental and a central point of all this decision and change. I took my business school program in 2006, and a few years later, in 2013, as I was explaining, I took a coaching service in the university. And after something like a couple of hours, the coach basically told me, "Hey, it looks like you want to do something different." And my response was yes, but I don't know what. And then a day after, I in the farmers market in the Ferry Building in San Francisco, this is where I met Lacofina. And then it was something like illumination moment where I thought that I could be transitioning my skills, transitioning my experience into a market that was actually needed of those skills. That was 2013. I was working for Cisco at the moment, and then I decided to leave at the end of the year. 2014, it was the moment to kick off the new venture, and I realized I had no deep knowledge about the market. So the best thing I thought I could do was to get myself trained as a professional chef at Le Cordon Bleu. And those were 9 amazing months of waking up at 6 a.m. every day and going to the kitchen at 8 a.m. and learn a lot, not only about preparation and food preparation, but mostly about the culture of food and the culture of excellence, and how you can do and you should be doing good that are things that are good for people and are providing more than nutrition to the consumers.
Wow, that's quite a journey. So now you've gone to the Cordon Bleu, and now you've gotten your MBA, and now you're in Europe back with your co-founders, right?
Yeah.
And you're starting your business. So what was your vision at that point?
Well, at the beginning, when you are in a startup, that is what I think we still are. You need to do almost everything, and you need to invent everything. The space we are in, you cannot go to Amazon and purchase a book about how to run an accelerator or how to run an incubator. And there's no literature. There's no literature about what is the business model that you need to be making. The 3 of us, we have a very clear concept that was that we had to do a business, and this is not like an NGO, and it's not something that is not sustainable itself. So for the first year, I was working on my own. Then one of my partners, Mila, joined the team, and the two of us started to put together all the program content. We start putting together all the ecosystem and all the elements to generate a nice deal flow and start getting nice startups into our program. And little by little, we start growing the team. We are now 20 people in the team. And a couple of years later, some corporations have started to get interested about creating startup programs and finding startups that could fix their problems. And therefore, we start putting together different ways to engage startups and corporations. So everything was like progressive. And I believe that when you are in a startup, there are a few moments where you need to pivot, and there are a few moments where you realize that you can do something better or bigger. And that's a moment where actually a lot of changes happen in the company. So it's quite exciting. And we believe that the potential of this market is huge. There's still a lot of room for pivoting and doing things a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so when you guys started this, how did you guys know that you had something that was working? At what point did you know that this was going to move forward and was viable?
That's a good question. I never stopped to think about it. Today, I think it's working and it's viable and it's effective. I believe that one of our challenges was actually to be in Madrid, and Spain is not a country that is recognized for entrepreneurship, and it's not recognized for being at the leading edge of technology innovation.
Right.
So I believe that in our area, in the agri-food tech, we are in that moment where we start to get widely recognized. Our startups start getting recognition in international events, and they get attention from international investors. I believe that that is the moment when you can realize that this is actually working. That happened possibly a year and a half ago, when a few of our startups are starting to receive call from foreign investors asking to get more information about what they were doing.
Wow, that's probably a big moment, I would imagine.
Yes, and you realize later. You don't realize in the moment. You get very excited, but you don't really see the impact. And I believe that the way you create an ecosystem is evolutionary. So the success of a company, of a startup, attracts more investors, attracts other entrepreneurs, attracts corporations. So the success in these ecosystems is actually on the individual successes of the startups that compound it.
So for the founders that are listening to us right now, are there key traits that you look for in companies and startups as they come to you?
We focus a lot on people. And I know that this is something that everybody talks, as everybody mentioned, but for us, the team is super important. And when you bet in a company in the very early phases, you are betting on people. You are not betting on a business model, because the business model will change. You are not betting on a specific market position, because there's, in most of the cases, there is no defensible market position. So the people and the courage and their willingness to make it happen and to work hard is very important. We have a number of red lines that we draw in the playing field. They're pretty basic, but they go to be responsive, getting information quickly when you ask for it, being proactive and understanding the rationale of the changes that we are asking them to do, or the rationale of the positioning that we're asking them to evaluate, etc. And when they basically follow and they are open for improvement, they are open for reassessing their position in the market, to maybe throw away everything that they had done previously. Those are the moments that you realize that they are committed, and they are committed not to us, they are committed to their business. And I have one conversation with one of our portfolio companies that when we were closing the agreement for acceleration, I told the CEO, the entrepreneur, he had to drop the product completely. I said, I like everything except your product. He said, yeah, okay. So you told me to drop it, I will drop it. But what do I do next? So we basically help them reassess their market position, reassess their client, reassess what they were willing to do for society. And one morning, 3 a.m., I got a WhatsApp message saying, hey, I got it. And then I'll be in the office 9 a.m. So a few hours later, he was in the office. I said, this is what I want to do. This is the positioning and so on. I want to do the more sustainable and natural soda refreshment in the world. Clean label, tasty, nice, and so on. And this is what I want to do. And this was possibly 2.5 years ago. The company is Moon Water, that is an amazing soda. I drink something like 2 or 3 per day.
Wow.
It's called Moon Water.
Moon water?
Moon Water, yes. It's basically sparkling water and orange and fruit juices. Oh. No sugars added, nothing. It's a great drink. So this company launched that product. They've been progressing in the market. ultimately, they are converting the product into ecological bio refreshment, and they're getting an incredible traction across Europe. So the entrepreneur bet that we were going to help him, and it looks like it's actually working and paying off.
Wow, that's amazing. What a great story. What a great example. So you mentioned that this was a natural product. So can you talk to us about the space that you're in and what your mission is around the future of food?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, we try to look for natural products. We think clean label is a necessity. Is something that is good for the people. We actually need to be more proactive, getting cleaner products and better products in the market. The future of food, I believe that is gonna have a substantial transformation. The food industry is at an inflection point. Technology is coming very strong, and a lot of primary production is going to be converted into industrial production. And there are a number of reasons for that. And the most important one is that the population is increasing dramatically, and we need to produce food for this new population. But at the same time, we are wasting resources, and we are wasting food. So for us, the best approach to serve the needs of humanity in terms of producing and creating food for the future generations lays on our capacity to optimize the use of the actual product to maximum levels. And that implies upcycling product, that implies getting the maximum output from the landfill and from the products that are already put in manufacturing. And a set of new technologies is appearing that will make it possible to get all this waste product that is currently wasted and converted into high quality premium products. That's a main activity and a main objective for us. And for this, a number of techniques are appearing that are pretty exciting. Fermentation, I always say that fermentation is going to be huge. It's going to be possibly the most important technology in the food system in few months, actually. I don't think it's going to be waiting 10 years from now. So fermentation allows you to get spent barley from beer production and convert it into high quality human proteins that are actually similar profile that animal protein. Fermentation is helping us to produce new proteins for sweeteners, for flavor enhancers, for texture enhancement, etc., etc. So it's the most promising technology that we are seeing in the market right now. And the other part is that it's very easy to do. You just need relatively simple industrial facilities to make it happen. And that means that we can get all these waste products and convert it into other ingredients that will be recycled back into the industry and produce a 30-40% increase in the current output from the food system.
I want to thank today's sponsor, NextGen Chef. NextGen Chef feeds members with the knowledge and tools that they need to create concepts with purpose and succeed. If you're listening today, they are offering a 1-year subscription for any new founder that wants to participate at a special discounted rate. For more information, email team@nextgenchef.com. If you're interested in becoming a member or just a part of the community, email NextGen Chef at team@nextgenchef.com. You can also follow them on Instagram at NextGen Chef, as well as on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Thank you again, NextGen Chef, for making this podcast possible. Together, we can change the future of food. Yeah, no, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening now, from alternative proteins to fermentation to, it's just, there's so many new things that we're at the cusp of, that we're seeing from Oatly's, from the new nut milks to all the different things that are happening. And it's happening it seems to be happening like rapid fire these days.
Yeah.
Every time I turn on the news or I'm watching something come on LinkedIn, the news is just, there's a lot of new innovations coming out. And it's exciting because it really is looking at food in a new way. And it's positioning food in my mind as a way to look at food as medicine, as a way to heal the body, as a way to heal the planet, if we can think of this in a really thoughtful way. From upcycling to the way that we, think about packaging, right? And to that end, are you familiar with the Upcycling Association?
No.
So I'll just throw it out to you. Check out the Upcycling Association. It's been, I think they launched about a year ago. And they're a great organization and it's global. And I think you had mentioned that you were looking to bridge the gap and become more of a global organization and come to the streets a little bit more. That organization has members from all over the world, and it might be a great way to make your entree into the US, aside from through the Essential Ingredients podcast.
Perfect. Of course.
And if you check it out and you want an intro, I'm happy to introduce you to some of the people on there. We actually had a couple of interviews with them and conversations with them. We had a podcast recently with Daniel Kurzak from Regrained. I don't know if you're familiar with Regrained, which is also
I know them. Yeah.
Product. So anyway, to that end, I'm happy to make that intro for you.
That's perfect. Thank you.
But I want to get back to Eatable Adventures, and I'd love to learn a little bit more about some of these products or some of these entrepreneurs that you have. And, what kinds of innovations are you seeing come out of there that might be even different than some of the stuff that we're seeing? Is there anything that's new and different that we're seeing that we're not seeing come up in the news or on LinkedIn these days?
Well, it's I believe that the entrepreneurs are trying to find their lanes into the market, and that means that at the end everybody is doing similar things, and that's fine. I think when you are trying to reach the market, the best way is to walk a path that has already been walked, and that's why everybody is at the same time to do the same things. We have pretty exciting startups in our Spain food tech program that we are running this year. And some of them are on the fermentation space that we have been commenting, with the tools of artificial intelligence being used to define how the different microbes and the different microorganisms can be blend together to produce multiple elements in a single fermentation process, for example. We have also very amazing 3D printing solutions for meat and fish that will be hitting the market in a month and a half from now. And pretty exciting. People that have seen the output, they can't believe that this is a 3D print. We also have some nice work on mycelium, not only as a substitution for alternative proteins in the form of burger patties or similar, but also to create whole cuts of meat. That is, I have tried them, and the texture is super similar to the meat texture and the look as well. And also we are working on an area that I really like it, that is climate affected precision farming.
Oh wow!
So we are working on, or with one of our startups, identifying what the species that are used by the food industry are being severely damaged by climate change. The production and the yield is reducing year on year, and trying to help out to preserve diversity by breeding them and creating them and culturing them in indoor farming environments. And that is an area that we believe is fundamental and is going to be much needed. Here in the Mediterranean, the climate change is hitting dramatically year on year. I don't know if you heard of the biggest snow we had in Madrid a few weeks ago, sorry. That was the stronger in more than 100 years. Following week, we were 12 degrees or 16 degrees. Wow. Now we went back to 0 degrees. So the Mediterranean area is really suffering from the changes in climate. So we believe that a big mission that we need to take on our shoulders is to help preserve our biodiversity and to help preserve the production and the agricultural production that is down in this area. And that's why we have a strong focus on identifying how indoor farming can help, not the general agriculture, but a specific species that we can preserve and maintain the production and the output that they have in the market at the moment.
Wow, so there's a lot going on there, and I think that that's a really opportunity. It's a great opportunity for people to really pop in, take advantage of right now, because I think really it's timely right now. So for the founders and the startups that are listening right now that have an idea or have a business that they want to launch or investigate and determine whether or not this is something that they can move forward on, and what are some tips that you might give them, or what are some next steps or ideas that you might suggest for them before they run full steam ahead?
Yeah, we get a lot of requests from startups to help them find out investors and to help them on their fundraising endeavors. Most of them are not yet in the market, and they don't have a product in the market. And possibly the best advice is to basically tell all these entrepreneurs that they really need to get their product in the market before getting professional investment on the table. Many of these founders lose a lot of time trying to secure funding before they have even started the company, or before they have even started to have a product that is squarely fit to specific consumers. So the first, for me, the best recommendation will be to define the product, get the product viable, get it on the table, get their MVP ready as soon as they can, start selling, and that's the best moment to start looking for investors and people that can bet on what they're doing.
So often I think that a lot of entrepreneurs and founders think that it happens in a hot minute, and they don't realize that, look at Oatly, it took them 20 years, right? 20 years, but they think that the story is an overnight success, and it wasn't an overnight success. It's just that we've only been dealing with it for the last few years, because that's when it came into our vision, right? Into our, that's when we started seeing it in cafes and in coffee shops, and so it takes a long time. So it doesn't happen.
Correct.
And I think that sometimes
that's correct.
Get that.
Yeah, that's true. You go to Beyond Meat, you go to Impossible Foods, Perfect Day, or any of the pioneers, and everybody thinks that Beyond was like a few months before their IPO in the market, and actually they were something like 10 years before that. And it took them a large amount of time to get ready, and a large amount of funding to get ready to this success moment. And I absolutely agree that many entrepreneurs think that this is something that you can do in 5 minutes, or a simple idea, and possibly it's a great idea, just an idea, can get a lot of money on the table, and that simply doesn't happen.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. I think patience is really key, and it's not, and to remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah,
and ideas, if it's a good idea, it's got to have longevity, and you got to be able to endure.
Yeah, and then if you have played the sports, you know that one match you can do it perfect, and the following match you can have the worst day ever. Exactly. So the resilience is super important to keep a steady line and to continue going, knowing your direction, and be ready to see if it is needed, or if there's a good opportunity.
Yeah. So obviously this has been a different time, a difficult time and a challenging time the last year because of
Mm.
COVID. And I think everyone's going to ask this question, but how has COVID affected your time with these startups in the past year? Has it changed it? How has it impacted um, these businesses and your ability to help them?
Yeah, there's been several phases. The initial phase in March a year ago was to talk to every single of them, see where they were, check out the impact, check out their finance, and make sure that everything was stable and sustainable. And that was the initial reaction. The second reaction was for the community. As I said, we sustain a large community. So for this community, we basically put a very quick succession of events to get them prepared to change. And so we ran a lot of webinars, one every week or something like that,
Right.
with finance advisors, with legal advisors, with HR advisors, with a number of people that could provide hints about what to do and how to react to many things that were happening. We did it in our Spanish community, and we did it locally because we thought that you need to help locally first and then expand. So that proved to be quite useful. A lot of people actually call us and say, hey, you have helped us to find new ways to survive and new ways to do things, especially in the hospitality market. And from that moment, we decided to continue doing it. And we ran a series of seminars very rapidly as well, in order to keep the community alive and to get people talking to people and so on. So that proved to be very successful and very interesting. And we stayed like that until late summer. And after summer, we thought that it was no longer needed, so we relaxed a little bit. And we have to move all our activity online as well. So
Right.
so
Similarly,
our day-to-day, yeah, our day-to-day moved from being in the office every day to be at home for a few months. And then when we could recover the office activity, not everybody was at the office every day. So we had to start working with all the startups, all the founders remotely. And we are still doing it remotely. We try to, we think it's more effective at the moment. So we managed to get a routine of daily meetings with at least a couple of startups per day, and then go through their issues, their needs, and mentor them, and trying to get them moving fast. And it's proven that is very useful. Actually, we like it most than physical meetings now, because you can control time for once, and also you don't need to commute, and it's actually more effective.
You can pack a lot in. You can be very efficient. Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah, before that, you could have one meeting in the morning because you had to commute there, had the meeting and return. And now in the same period of time, you can have 2 or 3 meetings.
Well, and then of course you're I was going to say in Mexico, you're in Spain, and then they have a siesta, right? I'm just kidding. No siesta in
Yes.
Spain.
On weekends we do, at least myself.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest, the day to day, we start working very early and we end up very late. You know, in Madrid, people
Right,
leave
of
the
course.
office 8 p.m. or so.
Well, it's the nature of also being in the startup community, I think.
Yeah.
And also I feel like during COVID, I don't know about you, but I have worked there's nothing else to do but work. So
Yeah.
I mean, I might as well work. I can get so much done. I'm just sitting here. What else am I going to do? And it's the only thing I have to think about, right? It's not like I'm going out to have dinner and drinks and cocktails and,
Yeah.
meet up with friends. I mean, aside from that, and for those people that are watching the video, I have these little munchkins, but, um, you know, I can go for a bike ride, I guess. But, my main focus is to, help create change, help get information out there, help change the future of food. And so when I'm sitting here and I can do more work and I'm sitting on the couch or in my office or, just in my house, it's so easy. to just continue and perpetually do work.
Yep.
I think
that some people doesn't like it, but I believe that
I also think we should have boundaries because we do need to have balance.
Yeah.
We need to set that balance. We need to have family time. We need to be able to get outside.
Yeah, that's correct. I think I don't know when this pandemic will finish, but eventually I believe that whenever it finishes, everybody will be totally reversed. Everybody will be on the street every day. So let's see how soon we can do it.
Well, hopefully, but I want to invite you and your community onto the Next Gen Chef app. It's complimentary, it's free, it's a way to connect. You can connect one-on-one with them. You can put videos up there. You can create community boards, have conversations, continue the conversation around it. And it's a great way to extend that conversation. We host a lot of stuff on there, and it's a sort of tailored LinkedIn for those people in food and beverage. And it's a way to connect people in Madrid, Europe, London, Paris, Brazil, wherever, with people all over the world, the US, etc., Asia. And we want to invite the people listening today, those founders, those startups, those thought leaders, to join us there as well, to connect with me personally. I would love to connect with you. Connect with me, Justine, connect with Jose Luis. I hope that you guys will all join us. Next Gen Chef is the sponsor of this podcast, which you can find on iHeartRadio. You can find it on Spotify, whatever you listen to. So if you like this episode, please download it. We drop a new one every Tuesday. And I want to thank Jose for joining me today, talking about Eatable Adventures. I want to thank our listeners, and hope to see you here again next week. Jose, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciated it.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to get to know you.
It was likewise. It was a pleasure to get to know you, a little bit about your history, what you're working on, and I hope that we can collaborate and maybe join forces and support your community, because I feel like there's a lot of synergy there, and there's ways that we can support you with our resources, maybe.
Perfect. Likewise.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank you to our listeners. And again, don't forget to join Next Gen Chef. The app is nextgenchef.com. It's available on iOS and Android, and it is free. And I hope to see you all there. Don't forget to connect with me. Thanks again, and follow Essential Ingredients on iHeartRadio, Spotify, etc. Talk soon. See you next week. I want to thank my guests and my listeners for joining me today at Essential Ingredients. If you like this episode and you want to make sure not to miss any others, please subscribe. You can find us on all the large channels, including iTunes. And I hope that you'll make sure to follow us and share it with your friends. For more information about Essential Ingredients, you can check out the website justinereichman.com. You can follow myself on Instagram and Facebook at Justine Reichman. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Next Gen Chef and the platform that powers this podcast, you can find us at nextgenchef.com, on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media outlets. I hope to hear from you and see you again soon.